All right, great. So I think we're live right now. A very good evening to everyone present here for our Enterprise Wednesday, as well as those watching online right now. So first of all, I would like to give a big thank you to all of the collaborating universities joining us this lovely evening for our Enterprise Wednesday titled Bootstrapping or Fundraising. So all of the collaborating universities from Entrepreneurship Summit, I'll give a small shout out. First of all, we have Travin University from Vietnam, Canto University from Vietnam, Universitas Trisakti from Indonesia, Universitas Indonesia from Indonesia as well, Telkom University Bandung from Indonesia as well, Palawan State University and DOS from Philippines, Chasim University of Kamchaya from Cambodia, National University of Laos from Laos, and University of Mpumalanga from South Africa. Thank you all for joining us for our Entrepreneurship Summit and supporting our event for today for our Enterprise Wednesday. Next, I'm going to pass up to William to do the introduction.
Thank you, Nicholas. So before our handsome Filipino speaker takes the stage, I'd just like to give a brief introduction of you. So he's a countryside technopreneur, CEO of Itera Technology Solutions. He's specializing in software engineering with strong skills in technical product development. His key role is to oversee the development lifecycle of technology products from drawing board to full-scale production while making sure that customers will like and will achieve its short and long-term goals. Along with his 10 years of professional experience in the global software industry, he accepted the offer to join Palawan International Technology Business Incubator, PITBI, as the operations manager in May 2020 to help aspiring startup founders, innovators, inventors, tech enthusiasts, and technopreneurs in Mimaropa region. He was also a country manager of a US fintech company for 8 years, a senior IT consultant for agencies such as US Agency for International Development, Asian Development Bank, the Department of Environmental and Natural Resource Biodiversity Management Bureau, Philippines. And that concludes, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, William and Nicholas. So, slide please. Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. And thank you, APU, for hosting such event. And we from Palawan State University and Palawan International Technology Business Incubator is honored to be here and to join you tonight. So thank you for that wonderful introduction. Again, my name is Fheter. I am a countryside technopreneur, and I am an advocate for impactful and sustainable innovations. So I'm from the beautiful place, Palawan, where you can find these beautiful places. So I'm from Palawan State University as well, a most sustainable and eco-friendly school in the Philippines, an international recognized university that provides relevant and innovative education and research for like lifelong learning and sustainable development. So my topic this evening is it bootstrapping or fundraising? So let's begin with a story of three computer science students of Palawan State University. Let's name them as F, A, and M. So let's call them the fam. So they met a tourist, a CEO wannabe. He really loves Palawan and he wanted to put up a fintech company. Imagine fintech company in a island of Palawan in a province. He said, I wanted to start a fintech company. This guy has more than 30 years of experience in payment and card systems. And he met the fam with zero work experience, fresh graduate of batch 2012. These guys are amateur programmers. They can only code calculator. So they did, the CEO wannabe did a bootstrapping approach. So his spare bedroom, they turned it into an office space. The founder's pension and retirement fund is used as the operational capital. So that's why It's a bootstrapping approach. So bootstrapping is about using all the resources available, personal, with you without outside investments. So they are sending cold emails to his decade-old contact database and hired these entry-level amateur programmers, the FAM, and they're only using the data hotspot of a phone just to be connected to the internet. And they're using second-hand computers as well. And they started its traction in 2016. So they turned an idea into a massive fintech platforms. And now, this year, they were able to acquire a two-story office, hire 50 staff, Palawenyo staff, and hit the milestone of earning the first million revenue in USD with these three main products. And this became a global brand for fintech. Then in 2016, the fam kind of part ways because A&M are looking for other opportunities and only F remained in international payments processing. Palaan Pawnshop is one of the biggest remittance center in the Philippines, and they are now transitioning from a traditional remittance center into a fintech company. They just recently launched their payment system or wallet system. M went to Yondu Globe to experience the metro style environment. Then the international payments processing started to scale big time. So F became the country manager, and of course, the CEO, he became the president. And now, with that two-story office, they expanded their office in Atlanta, Georgia, with 80 staff with call center seats, and it is now operating 24/7 in the island of Palawan. So the milestone jumped from that first million in USD. It is now worth 8 digits in USD revenue. So it became a multi-million dollar company or a fintech company with those three main projects or products. So they are hitting now the global scale. And now in 2018, F approaches A and talked about if we can make that company that big in just a small period of time, why not start their own company? And they call it Itera Technology Solutions. So they thought that with that experience, they can duplicate the success of the international payments processing. So they did the bootstrapping approach, same as the first one, because they have no other options. So they turned F's living room into an office. At first, they can't even buy a monoblock chair. So they are sitting on the ground doing their first projects. So they're using their percentage of their salaries, which is bootstrapping. You're using your own income, maybe a cash from your family, from your friends, or your network. And they are experiencing tight cash flow. Cash flow is like managing your ins and outs of your company. So you really really need to make sure that there's enough or more than the expenditures that you're doing. So there's no revenue in 7 months. Only their ego saying that they can do it because they were able to do it in a foreign company. So what they did with that 7 months, it's actually not a failure. For 7 months, they've been capitalizing and networking and building relationships, doing free stuff, doing free website, free mobile applications, and they're using second-hand computers as well. So F decided to resign as the country manager for almost 8 years in that company for him to focus in his company, Itera Technology Solutions. The CEO of that company is not happy. You know how much is the last paycheck of F when he left that company that he helped build? Only 1,300 pesos. And there's no any separation pay or even a percentage of the company. But that's reality of being an employee of a big company. You can be easily, you are replaceable, and that's the fact. But that's fine. because the learnings and skills that the company, that F learned and experienced from the company, it started now to gain traction, the Itera. Now they hit their first milestone of 7 digits in Philippine peso revenue in 2019 when he resigned and put all his effort, resourcefulness in his company. And then he met an incubator of a university from Palawan State University, which is named Palawan International Technology Business Incubator. By this, everything changes. The paradigm shifted 360. He is now guided with what to do from ideation, validation of your ideas, and not like the past that you just keep launching and launching product that you love rather than finding problems to solve or finding actual users. That's the actual problem with a tech company or a tech startup company. We fell in love with our technology. We always wanted to be advanced. We always wanted to look fancy, but it doesn't work that way. You need to validate if there's really a problem, if there will be an actual users. Then build the technology to kind of solve that problem. But it doesn't end there because you need to validate as well all the functionalities. Because most of the startup now, they wanted to build a super app, super service, everything you can see in my app. But it doesn't work that way. Even the big tech companies having trouble in introducing super app. So you need to find your niche, focus on that first, make revenue, make profit before expanding services. So that's how you do it, based on my experience and not on the book. So now with the incubator, this company is now guided. They are included in networking events such as this for free, and they were able to meet a lot of people. And there are also mentorship program, coaching, industry mentors, and internship programs, as well as training and office spaces. There are also business matching, where they met their first big client. So after being incubated, being guided, now Itera is growing. They now have their own office spaces. And from a commercial office space, they added one um, office space from the PITB Technology Business Incubator Center by the generosity of Palawan State University. So that's free for a couple of months. And that freebie is very important for a startup company. Imagine spending rental money if you don't have money coming in. But with TBIs, the co-working spaces, they provide a lot of value for these startups. You can use internet for free, uninterrupted power supply, free water, free space, and even computers sometimes. So now they grew and hit their first 8 digit in peso revenue and became a multi-million peso without even owning its own building by just being incubated by a university incubator. So now they have local, national, and international clients. And a lot of publication featured their works. Now, he joined PITB, and F is actually me. It's Fheter. So I joined PITB as an operations manager because I believe so much that by providing an avenue to a student, to a, let's say, dreamer, they can do a lot of things. Good things can happen. Just provide them resources. So this is the first team building that I joined PITB. And again, PITB Bootstrap, funding its own operations. Palawan State University funded the operational cash or capital for the manpower. We have DOST Mimaropa providing a lot of beneficial stuff like freebies for internship program, travel, networking events, business matching. DOST shared for the materials like, for example, media equipments, computer equipments, co-working spaces. It might be small for other people, but for a dreamer, especially in a countryside, wherein owning an office space or renting an office space can be very uh, expensive. By connecting with a TBI or a technology business incubator in a university, you can save a lot of money, and also you can be guided by the mentors and network of coaches. And also, you can find friends and possible clients that you can work with. That's why it's very important, or it's strategic to be an incubator of a TBI or business incubator. Not only that, but by helping in the events of the university, you can also access unlimited manpower resources, because every year there's a new batch of students that you can work with, you can discover. Actually, in the Itera company, we hired three third-year college students from Palawan State University, and they're earning good amount of money. So I think as the startup, take advantage of the university incubators, because there's a massive resources, not only capital. Capital is just an added benefit, but it's the network, relationship, skills, and also the community. That's why this consortium is very important, because the incubatees will not only grow their community or network within our localities, but now international. So now, when Pitby, um, like bootstrapping, they now reached they're now in the stage of gaining its traction. It has 30 incubatees, which is now 5 active, and the incubatees accumulated more than 30 million revenue overall. And they receive investment and grants for more than 35 million pesos, and they access the infrastructure, have created employment, and also uh, did a lot of events. Now Pitby is scaling from now getting its foundation, bootstrapping. It is now scaling to add more partners, more events, calibrating its incubation program, internationalizing its relationships or co-incubators, just like our consortium. And now we're here to internationalize Pitby with you guys. So those are the types of bootstrapping. I just told you a story so that you can relate to it. So the CEO wannabe, the fintech, it started as a bootstrapper, then gained traction, then it scaled. The next, Itera Technology Solutions, a startup, bootstrap, gained traction, and achieved growth. Same as the university incubator Pitby. Bootstrap, gained traction, internationalize. So capital is not the first problem. The first problem is looking for a problem that you're trying to solve. Validate your idea or validate that problem first, because who knows, maybe that problem they can live with it. So find a problem, validate if it is indeed a problem, then validate if people will are willing to pay to solve that problem, and then make business around it. These are some of the successful bootstrap company. Maybe you're not aware that they started as a bootstrap. Maybe you heard the story that they started in a parking lot or parking area or garage, as you say. So we have Dell, Facebook, Apple, Coca-Cola, HP, eBay, Cisco, GoPro, and a lot more in this list. These
Um,
are some of the big companies.
Sorry if I
Sure.
interrupting you right now, but if we just track back a bit to your story, and in 2015 you had hit this milestone. You've hit several milestones of revenues, and the first one was hitting $1 million in 2015 with 50 staff members. So I'd like to know, what was your business model that would make you generate such cash so quickly?
The thing is, even some of the ideas or the solution that we put in there is ours. We are not a part owner of that company. So we are just an employee earning a small amount of money while the founder earns huge amount of money. Until now, they didn't accept any external funding. So they are very, very liquid. It's a smart move because they are earning in dollars, but they are spending in peso for the manpower, for the utilities, for the resources. So they are making like 56 times of the actual profit that they have. So it's a smart move for that guy. And he enjoys Palawan as well. Who would have thought that he can put up a fintech company in a province? So that's a smart move for him. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, actually, I have another question for
Sure.
you as well. So, based on the story that you have told us just now, you are very experienced in bootstrapping, and I know that bootstrapping is basically using your own resources, anything you can get. That will be a very hard to start. A lot of people, a lot of young minds maybe have an innovative idea, but they just lack of the knowledge to do all this stuff to get all of these resources to kickstart maybe their businesses. So do you think it is necessary for every young mind to go through this bootstrap phase so that they can learn all of this stuff, or do you think that like our title, fundraising and getting the sufficient initial funds so that they can get their innovative product out as soon as possible? Do you
Okay.
think like which is better?
Okay, thank you for that question. Actually, that will sum up or summarize all of our discussion this afternoon. I have a lot of other things to discuss the definition of terms, but to answer you shortly, bootstrapping is not for everyone. We did bootstrapping because we have no option. There's no funders, there's no seed fund available at that time. But if there's money available for you to start and you were able to sell your idea to them, and there's a lot of successful stories that they just pitch an idea, no actual product yet, but they got funded. It's okay. But if you receive that money, make sure that you learn how to manage your cash flow. Because it doesn't matter if you receive 10 million pesos or 10 million US dollars or 100 million US dollars. If you don't know how to manage your money, especially your cash flow, and you have no actual vision or a business model to earn money, then that money will be gone. And you'll find yourself negative in that transaction. Okay.
Thanks for answering that.
Okay. Yeah, I can continue by defining what is bootstrapping. So at least at the first part of our program, you were able to at least have an idea on what is bootstrapping, using your own resources, network, and all. And so let's define it. So bootstrapping, it originates from the famous phrase to pull oneself up by one own bootstrap. It refers to the process of using own's finances, great resourcefulness to build and grow a new company. It is an opposite of creating a business by accepting significant outside funding from venture capitalists and angel investors. So it's just like a minimalistic business culture approach to start a company, which is characterized by extreme sparseness and simplicity. And it is usually refers to start a self-sustaining process because now you will be looking at how much money is coming in, and can you expand, or do you have enough money to continue the operations? So here are some of the bootstrapping method. Owner financing. This is using your personal income and savings. Personal debt is loaning, personal loan, or credit card or any other loans. Sweat equity is an interesting um, method. You can recruit people. They don't need to put fund in your company, but they need to work for your company. Like for example, my partner, a CTO, he is a great developer. He knows server so much that he has a certification in the microservice. So his investment in the company is just a sweat equity. He didn't put money in, but he brings in expertise in the company, and that is equivalent for the 50% share of our company. So you can do that as well. Operating costs, to keep the costs as low as possible so that you won't burn all your money for just a couple of months. Then inventory minimization, it requires a fast turnaround of inventory, meaning you can't afford to stock so much inventory because it will stop the cash flow that is coming in. The next is selling. This is the hardest, but this is the most coolest thing to do. To do selling, make sure that you are selling your products and that product can fund your company. Then you can also have trade credit or we call it subcontractors, wherein you have the portfolio, you were able to close a deal, but you don't have enough capital to finish that product. Now you look for trade credit or subcontractor who can supply you with those specific items for that transaction to be completed. There are people who do that, that they are willing to wait until the um, the end user or the client completely paid the transaction before you can pay your trade credit.
These are some clearly flexible, diverse bootstrapping methods. So they do seem a bit risky as well. So
Yeah.
which ones rather do you believe may carry the most risk, and which are actually the most common methods that people tend to take for bootstrapping?
Actually, all of them are risky.
All of them.
All of them are risky. But what you can do is kind of divide that risk by recruiting people to do the set equity. Like, hey, bro, can you partner with me for, let's say, 3 months? If nothing happens, let's stop it. All you need to do is program. You guy, all you need to do is market. You guy, you need to do sales. Then let's try it for 3 months. If it doesn't work, then let's go back to our 8 to 5 job kind of a thing. I think that's the most preferred way of some startups, because for owners financing, you won't be able to decide fast and freely, because you're thinking that, oh, I'm burning my savings, next day I won't have money. And the thing is, on that next day, you'll have to deliver a product to your partner, then you will go personal debt just to extend the operations, and you'll find yourself with a lot of credit. Yeah. So all of it, selling is the safest because you're already selling your products. Just make sure that if you sold enough, or you there's profit in your company, to not burn all of them at once. I've seen a lot of startups that when they made their first deal, or they earned their first, let's say, couple of thousands, they're um, like racing to upgrade everything, upgrade the computer, upgrade the founder's phone, that are not relevant to the operations of the company or the processing of the products. That's why they burn their cash as well. So the safest way is to do sweat equity and do the trade credit, to partner with suppliers. But you just need to be a good seller, and you need to have a good charisma to build that relationship, because some of the trade credit companies, they will ask for your credentials and all, but if you are good enough to sell them, to pitch your idea with them, they might invest to you in exchange of the raw materials. We call it sometimes purchase order loan, wherein if you are dealing with the government, at least in the Philippines, if you have a purchase order, that's an actually almost actual sale already. So you have your PO, you pitch with trade creditors or your subcontractor. Hey guys, I need, let's say, I need kiosk, or I need these raw materials to complete this trade. Are you willing to trade it with me? I have the purchase order which states that this is an actual cash if we deliver the product. Then that's the safest way to do. So sweat equity plus the trade credit and minimizing your operating cost will be the good combination if you are just starting. But if there's an available seed funding or available funding, and just take it. That's free money for you. But just make sure that you're cautious in your spending, because you might find yourself with zero balance and also zero credibility.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your question. Next is, now, this is the bootstrapping a business, like a three stage of it. To begin at a early stage, then the customer funding stage, then the credit stage. So for the beginning or an early stage, the founder continues to work a day job, just like what we did when we started the company. We continue doing our 8 to 5 job, and set aside the percentage of that salary for the operations. We need to pay the utility, we need to pay for the rental, the server, the other things that is related in that business. So that helps us survive those 7 months with no income for the company, because the two founders sharing the expenses by using their own salary. Okay, the customer funded stage. This is a stage wherein money from customer is used to keep business operating. Just like the previous slide, it's like selling, using that profit to continue your business in operation. Maybe the safest is to at least accumulate um, 1 year of operational cost in your savings, then you will be safe. Not really safe, but at least you can, um, because you cannot. It's really fun to sell something if you are not looking into them buying it. There's no pressure, and you are free and you're happy to sell it. Unlike selling it because you don't have money for the expenses the next day. That would be like, I just get this for 50%, and now you are troubling with your cash flow in there. So credit stage is entrepreneur focused on the funding of specific activities for such as improving equipment, hiring staff. At this stage, company takes out loan or may even find venture capital and expansion. So from beginning stage, just using your own resources, then suddenly on the second stage, you would now have from in addition to your own resources, you now have additional income from the company or the profit that you can use. Then you can build your credit stage for loaning because banks will look for financial statements, usually 2 to 3 years financial statements for you to be able to access loans. And for the investors, if you have a good track record for your beginning stage and customer funding stage, um, they can trust you, or you have now the credibility that you know what you're doing because you survive the bootstrapping, you survive the cash flow of the money entering in your company and balancing it with your expenses. Then it will be easy to get an investment for that. Because meaning, if you have a customer funding stage, you already have your clients, but just find investment if you wanted to expand, kind of. Now, these companies are suitable for bootstrapping. Number one is the infant stage companies. This is the stage where the startup is still in the ideation or low to non-validated concept, experimental, and uh, in the validation stage. Then the early stage companies, which do not require large influxes of capital, particularly from outside sources, which therefore allows the flexibility and time to grow. Because there are startups that really need a big chunk of investment before they can validate their experiment. They are not designed for bootstrapping. So bootstrapping is only designed for those, as said, that it doesn't require a large influx of money for you to develop a prototype. Sometimes programming, program-based mobile application website, it doesn't require that much money for you to create a prototype. Nowadays, even if you don't know how to code, you can definitely create a mobile application, maybe without a server connection, just a local offline app. But you can use that to validate your product and also to find investors. Number three are the serial entrepreneur companies. Oh, these are from the sale of previous companies, successful companies who started again from the bottom. Of course, they have a lot of money and they can bootstrap with unlimited resources. So for the advantages of bootstrapping, of course, low cost and entry, and it is efficient. Bootstrapping is cheap. Working with your own money means that super efficiency is necessary. You need to watch your cash flow. And you can call your shots because if you own 100% of your company, there's no other decision makers. But if you put in investors, of course, you need to consult with them. Depends on how much equity they have as well. If they invested in you and they have 60% of the equity, then probably the decision will be based on what they want, kind of. And next is you can concentrate on building your business because of low cost entry and you need efficiency. Now you are concentrated in building your business. You can now know all the aspects of the business. When we started, we did the sales, we did the marketing, we did bookkeeping, and we actually created 5 different or 3 different emails, but it goes to one person only. but he replies based on the email. Like for example, accounting@gmail.com. It goes to the accounting, but that's the same guy. And marketing, same guy. Sales, same guy. Until such time that we hire separate people to do separate tasks. So those kinds of things. But the advantage is if you will be able to understand how it works, so that if you hire someone, you know what to ask, you know what skills you're looking for, and you are familiar. You won't be um, find yourself that you're being taken advantage of. Next is it may make future funding easy to receive because you built a good track record and you survive the bootstrapping period. Then you can ask for investment because they can now see that you know what you're doing. You have customer base and you need money just to scale your already operating business. On the last subject that I have, it is connected. This one that it allows you to develop talents and execute in the ways that you might not have previously thought possible. Just like my previous sample, that for example, I am handling 3 emails: accounting, sales, marketing. Now I'm familiar with those. You kind of know how to do the basic marketing and all. So that is related to that. Now, for the disadvantages, of course, without that much money, you have cash flow issues, the equity issues among multiple founders. Because, for example, after the 3 months, you're still not earning or all. Then your co-founder with sweat equity will ask you, "What's up? What's happening? You said that in 3 months we will start earning." So risk of failure can be high because you don't have enough money, and if you don't if you are short in your cash flow, then you are close to the failure. Personal stress, of course, because you'll need to become adapt and handling stressful situation that may crop up in your finances of your company. For example, you borrowed money, then you are not thinking fair or objectively or because you're thinking, how can I pay that? How can I pay back my family members that I owe, the capital that I used? The next is it may prevent founders from acquiring enough capital. It potentially closes founders off of the experience and expertise of the more established entrepreneurs. This one is what we should highlight, that if you sometimes or most of the time when the investor invests in you, they also bring their expertise, their network. It's not just the money they bring in, but also their expertise, their network, and their credibility. So if you are bootstrapping, you might miss this because it will very hard to find someone who will help you, will not connect you, or give you freebies of training and networking if they don't have equity in your company. Lastly, is it may encourage too much risk averse mentality, prevent startups from capitalizing one big opportunities. Because if you don't have enough money, you're kind of processing or you're moving so slow that if other people might see the opportunity and they can devour you. I mean, they can put in capital and they can build better technology than you, then introduce it to the market. Okay.
Testing. So with these disadvantages of bootstrapping, I think you had experienced some of them in your work, because I think you mentioned about having a tight cash flow in 2018, and for 7 months I think you had no revenue whatsoever. So what pushed you to just keep on running the business? Because people would have seen these as indicators to shut down the business. What kind of elements did you see that provided hope that your startups could just keep on pushing, could keep on moving on?
Thank you. Aside from, I really wanted to build something that I can tell them that I own it. Your face is already outside. You're telling them that you are now a CEO. You are not now a founder. There is no way to go back to 8 to 5, and they will just ask you in a small town, "What happened? I thought you are now a CEO. Why are you in a tricycle or in a tuk tuk?" kind of thing. So those kinds of things. But I really wanted to build something because I've seen it in the previous company that I'm in that they were able to make it. But as you said, the tight cash flow we almost stopped the operation because it's too much. I mean, after work, you'll be there to work on your startup and you don't have actual um, clients. And it started to kind of use all your savings. You started to borrow from your relatives and all. But at that seventh month, when we consider being to enroll as an incubatee of a university incubator, then good things happen after that because we don't have to pay rent now because we have co-working spaces and all. So they kind of saved us from almost failing in our startup venture. And for the last part, if you remember, I shared earlier that in Palawan there's a local delivery service, a locally built delivery service app that introduced delivery services in Palawan because for such a long time there's no app-based delivery in Palawan pre-pandemic. So in pandemic they built it. People now are used to ordering online, and then Food Panda came in and killed their business. Yeah, easily. I mean, easily. Uh, they didn't wait for a week to kill that business because for I think 3 months or 4 months they did free delivery services. So people switched, and that company devastating. So those kinds of things. But if they have the capital when they are gaining traction, probably they will put a good fight. But it's a matter of how much money you have to continue this battle between the giants and Food Panda. Oh, how much money they have. Yeah. So that relates to the last point of this slide.
Yeah, I actually have another
Okay.
question. It's similar and regarding to the situation you're talking about as well is scalability. Like for bootstrapping, it's all good and that you got to use your own resources. It's like starting a perpetual motion machine, but in this case, you need to generate more revenue than your expenses, and you try to grow with the remaining amount of revenue each month. So it sounds good when you are trying to learn a lot of different stuff, but it is hard to scale it to a larger scale. And you did it with the companies to international state. So I'm very curious, how did you do that? And do you have any advice for like the Palawan deliveries? Like how can they fight Food Panda in such cases where they just come in and destroy you in few weeks with their large capitals? So how would you scale it up with starting with bootstrapping?
I think what could have helped them is if the government kind of put limits with the giants coming in. But at that time, they didn't thought that they will kill that business. And as you said, you really can't scale. You cannot bootstrap forever. If you have your traction, then that's the time that you look for funding, loan, or look for investors for you to be able to scale. Don't think of today or for this year. Think of scaling because someday or one day, as big as Food Panda or other competitors will came in. So they run out of capital, and of course, if you don't have that much money, you can give freebies. You need, as I said earlier, in bootstrapping, you need to sell, make some profit for you to be able to run the business. But if they will do free delivery for, let's say, how long? 3 months, 7 months, they won't be able to afford that. Yeah. On us, it's kind of different because we are a software company. That's why it's easy for us to. At first, no one in our province or in our location um, wanted to buy our products. So what we did is very crucial to the success of the startup that we have. We go outside. We go outside first before we we go back to our hometown. We build our portfolio outside. We engage with national projects, international projects. Then we use that portfolio to kind of buff up our portfolio. Look at us. We have project with USID, with ADB. Then they listen when you came back. So I think it's not in our control or in the startup control to dictate that in the market, because capitalists will really go there and a lot of competition will be there. But it's most maybe it should be the government or the local government who should limit the entry of big companies that might kill the innovation or the, the tech um, economy in your location, kind of a thing. If they have supported that company, they're as not as big as Food Panda, but they're big enough to cater the whole Palawan. It's so sad to watch them fail.
Yeah, thanks for that as well. And I think I can conclude that if you want to say to scale your bootstrapping company, networking is very crucial part of the starting phase as well.
And to
Yeah.
join a university TBI or incubator, because with them they can help you connect with government grants, seed funding, even zero interest loan. You can access that because you already have your proven product and market. It's easy for them to give funding to you, but it won't stop the big companies to play in your playground, if I say so. Yeah, so to share, we have some key strategies that our startups or our student can use to increase the chance of successfully bootstrapping your startup. Number one, this is very important to validate your idea. But before validating your idea, based on my experience, you need to validate the problem first. If there's really a problem, and if there are people who are willing to pay to solve that problem, or at least lessen that problem, then you validate your idea with them. So if I read it, one of the very first aspects of successful bootstrapping your startup involves identifying and validating a monetizable customer pain, calculating the size and demand of your projected target market, creating testing and refining your minimum valuable product, and achieving product in market fit. So possible to do without having to spend that much money, just like what the local delivery startup did. But there's a big company that came in. Maybe if we give them like a couple of months, they might be able to uh, kind of compete with them. Next is to embrace your hustle. So entrepreneurs love to recite the most famous saying, "Good things come to those who wait, but only the things left behind by those who hustle." So bootstrapping your startup can allow you to excel to new heights as an entrepreneur and a creator. So you must learn as much as possible. So when we started, we did this hashtag 364, I think. How many days in a year? 364. Okay, 365. So it's an hashtag um, hustle 364. So we implemented as a culture of our company. So everyone is hustling and posting their stories of hustling 364 kind of a thing. So we kind of influence them in our hustle, and they believe the vision that someday after this, rain, there will be a rainbow kind of a thing. So that's what we did, and it's up to the founder to really be strategic, and because you already sold your vision to them, but at least you need to be responsible enough to really make it happen. So that's what we did: embrace the hustle. Then after all these failures, and when we are incubated, then we find our big clients. Now three is focus on profits, make cash work for you. So producing profit is the first law of bootstrapping, because if you're bootstrapping and you're not making any cash, might as well just stop it. Yeah, because that's the next level. Bootstrap first, then earn money, then look for funding for some of the startups, but not for everyone. So number four is be resourceful and gutsy. So entrepreneurs don't worry about the resources they lack, but about the resourcefulness required to get the big ideas done. So these skills can be developed. An example of being a resourceful person: if you are a business founder and you don't have a technical co-founder, you can actually use PowerPoint to create a mobile application. Do you know that? No. So here's an example of being resourceful. there's a empty page for PowerPoint. Then put your buttons. I mean, click at the exact button that you design and put it in the next slide to make it feels like it's working. So that's how you do it. That's what we did in the in the beginning. So it's a PowerPoint. It's a PowerPoint, guys. You can do that with a PowerPoint. It would take so much time because, for example, I'll show you that my um, search engine is working. So I click the search engine, and when you click, for example, A, then A will be there. But there was a lot of work to do that. If they ask, can you show me other features? Then you can limit it there and so to build curiosity with them. But you can definitely use PowerPoint to do a simple prototype. But nowadays there are no code required to do um, mobile application as well as website. Adalo is one. You can use Adalo to build website. I mean mobile application. It's like a drag and drop. You just need to know how to design or look at the Google and find inspiration, and you can do that there without coding a single code. And for website, you can use Wix, WordPress, and other website for you to be able to because investors or clients will appreciate it more if they can see and interact with your product. Now with fundraising, so why a startup should raise money? Some of the points here are already asked by you earlier. So startups raise money to gain traction, scale up, raise capital to seize opportunity. So without startup funding, the vast majority of startups will die. The amount of money needed to take a startup to profitability is usually well beyond the ability of the founders and their friends and their family to finance. For example, you develop an app, it has been downloaded, for example, today it's unknown, then you post it in TikTok. TikTok is, TikTok is maybe um, the platform that can bring you millions of downloads the next day. It happens several times already. So if that happened, then you have traction. Then you can use that to look for funding. That you have your traction now. Your problem to face now is to how to retain those number of downloads or how to retain those clients. And of course, you need to expand your server and all of those things. So sometimes you don't have enough money from your bootstrapping network to fund that. So a startup here means a company that is built to grow fast. High growth company always needed to burn capital to sustain their growth prior to achieving profitability. And it's true, there are um, a lot of startups that needed so much money for them to be able to expand first before they can see the profitability of the company, especially those startups who are generating data, and some of the investors look at that data more valuable than the profit. So there are those types of startups. So a few companies do successfully bootstrapping or self-funding themselves, but they are the exception. Of course, there are a lot of great companies that aren't startups. Managing capital needs so much companies is not covered herein. So some of the points we discussed earlier that it's not always bootstrapping. You can't bootstrap forever, especially if you're now handling clients. So you need to be a client-centric startup, and you need to find external funding for you to be able to maintain the relationship with your first batch of clients and for them to kind of invite their friends to use your app as well. So when to consider funding raise? So investors write checks when the idea they hear is compelling, when they are persuaded that the team of founders can realize its vision. But if you did the bootstrapping for a couple of years and you now have your um, clients, you now have data to show to your investors that look, I really need this money to expand or to maintain this relationship with my clients. So you can skip that because they will see that you are already capable of running your business. So the opportunity described to successfully large. And when the founder reach to tell the story, they can raise money. And usually, when you can raise money, you should. So if the money is available, is there are call for proposal, seed funding, or pitching competition or hackathon, you should join those because small those money can might be your saving grace, or might be extend your operations for a couple of days by winning that money as well. So therefore, founders should raise money when they have figured out what the market opportunity is, who are the customer. In the case of bootstrapping, you already have your customer, and when they have delivered a product that matches their needs. So bootstrapping will save from this. So if you have this, you have consistent clients, and you just need extra fund for you to scale, add more, hire more people, or expand more services, or put up different branches, then you might consider fundraising. So how much to raise? I always believe that you just need to raise an optimal amount of money to raise your first round, to decide how many months to operate. As I said earlier, it's safe, not really safe, but it's a good buffer to have at least 1 year of operations. But if you can access so much money, then maybe 5 years. But who knows if the number of downloads or users will grow within the couple of years. So it's really up to maybe your traction and how you can compute on how much you can raise money. So some of the common financing options that I have here is venture financing, which usually takes places in rounds which have traditional and had names in specific order, like yung mga, like the Series A, Series B, and all, and so on. Convertible debt is a loan an investor makes to a company using an instrument called a convertible note. Business borrows money from a lender or investor, where both parties enter an agreement with the interest to repay it all of the loan, converting into certain number of shares in the future, or the equity. This is used as a capital raise by a company, which is then used to purchase assets, invest in projects, and fund operations.
Sorry, just to
Mhm.
interrupt you, just with a quick
Okay.
question. With these financing options, which ones are more suited? It seems like I don't think maybe all of them would be suited for startup companies. Maybe a few would be more suited to mature companies. So, which ones, in your opinion, would apply would be more applicable to startup companies?
If I have the choice and it's available, I'll do venture financing. That's huge amount of money and almost unlimited resources that you can get in. And the other two, that will be just like the other financing option. But the first one is the venture financing. And I think there's a lot of venture capitalists. Now they have this, what they call impact investors, where they're looking for impact first startups. They invest in you, not looking for a big return from their money, but the measurement of your impact to the community. Just like one of our incubating, they don't have business model, but they are aiming to reduce the carbon footprint. So they receive a grant from uh, USID, or um, some of the NGOs. And what they wanted, they will give you a grant, but give them data on really how much impact you did uh, in that community, kind of. So impact investments is one of the things that we should look forward into, especially if you are a social entrepreneur, or social startup.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be a great help to social entrepreneur because a lot of people doesn't know about the social entrepreneur, and basically, if you're getting a debt from, if they're getting a loan from venture capitalists, they would expect a profit. That's the basic model from the VC's point of view, and we have also the angel investors, which more focus on the actual growth of the company. And now that I heard of this impact, yeah, this is really good for the social entrepreneurs.
I don't know if it's kind of new, but it's interesting. This impact investors. These are people who have so much money, maybe, or philanthropists that wanted to invest not in the government, but more of in the startup, or in a project that has actually first-hand impact to the community. And this startup that we have that received 10 million grant from USAID, they are now being approached by huge companies such as, I won't tell names, but they have offers of like, how much in peso? It's like 300 million peso, kind of a thing. And they're not looking for profit. They're just looking for more data and more impact in the community. And as I said earlier, this company doesn't have a business model yet. It's more of the capability training for the community. It's about waste management. So, there's a lot of money in waste management, kind of. I didn't put it there, but it's an interesting financing options. But the documentation is really stringent for impact investors because they really need to think to see if you are really making an impact to the community, if there's really a benefit that the community is earning from you or getting from you. So this one, if we will move on, why you should consider raising funds you might not need right now. So I kind of talked about this earlier that you can move quickly on more opportunities than the pressure-free decision are better decision. Meaning, if you can foresee that in the next 3 years, 4 years, you will be able to scale or expand, then right now is the best time to look for investment. Try to sell that vision or that forecast to your investors or grantors. Yeah, because it's hard to raise a fund if you really need it next month or tomorrow, kind of a thing. You will be trapped by loaning with 50, 60, like 30%. Um, in the Philippines, we call it what you call it that you loan, then you have to pay 50% on the next month, kind of a thing. So it's really hard to be on that spot. Yeah, so I think those are my points, and I hope I was able to help our startups. But now I kind of want to share this. But if you have any questions about the other ones,
Actually, yeah, we do, but from the audience online, we do have a couple of questions. One comes from a name that I is in Chinese, so I can't really say the name. But he or she is asking, how did your company, how did such a fast-growing company manage to sustainably control such swift and heavy growth?
the first company.
Yeah.
Oh, the first company. What they did is they capitalized with their old friends. Old friends. I mean, they have friends who are retired from the payment industry that are now consultant of big companies. So they did that bootstrapping using their own network. As I said earlier, they revisit their decade-long contact database, sending cold emails and all. And with their experience, 30 years experience in payment industry, they can easily get partners out there. Mm. That's what they did. They capitalized with their old friends and network.
Okay.
Uh, kind of include us in your program, in your event, kind of a thing. Then they did a lot of partnership and all. And of course, they are operating in the Philippines, so the expenses is lower. 52 that time, 52% lower, uh, or 5,200% lower than the actual expense if they operated in US. Like for example, if they hire one computer software developer in US or in Georgia, they can hire like how many? 15 in the Philippines. So that kind of difference made a lot of good stuff for them. So their profit margin is kind of huge.
Yeah, and I have another question here from the audiences as well, from Deisha. So he asked about if he cannot overcome the stress while making important decisions, should he less consider bootstrapping in the business, or how can he improve that as well? Because you're basically uh, having all of the decisions made by yourself by bootstrapping and need to take care of every single expenses, every single operations. So does that help by being incubated as well? Yeah, just to.
If you will skip bootstrapping and find investor, that's more stressful to report to someone. They're asking, where's my money? Where's the profit? How are we not moving that fast? So it's more stressful to have outside investors. If you don't know yet what you will do, if you don't have business model yet, if you haven't proven your technology yet, and you don't have clients with you. So to maybe to relieve some stress, you really need to join some of the communities, startup communities, founders communities. They have this CEO forum, CEO networking events, wherein you'll feel comfortable talking about your challenges, and you might find partners there. You might find people who will refer you to a client or an incubator or accelerator or funding agency that helped them during those times. But being a CEO or founder, it's really stressful. You cannot remove that from their journey. So you need to handle your emotions very well. And maybe at first, if you're bootstrapping, to make a conscious decision, and if you need to expand, if you need to hire, if you can do it alone, then reconsider of adding more people in your company. And having co-founders will help as well. It's hard to be a solo founder because you'll absorb everything. But if you have co-founder that you're comfortable with, especially if he has like sweat equity, so if you're sad, he is sad also, kind of a thing. So you'll be happy because someone is sad, not only you. That's a joke, but yeah, kind of.
Okay, thank you. So I guess we don't have any more questions from the online audience, but physically, if there is anyone who would like to ask Mr. Fheter any questions, if not, so I guess you can conclude.
Yeah, we can
Or
conclude now, or if you have, do we have enough time to kind of
we do
do
have a
this?
couple of minutes
Uh,
left.
but
Have
all of
around five
Okay,
most,
minutes.
sorry,
yeah,
we do
Yeah.
have some
Yeah, you
questions.
can,
okay.
yeah. Have around 5 minutes left. Yeah.
Actually, I can actually end here because most of the important benefit of being incubated has been discussed earlier. So
Oh,
we'll
okay.
entertain the questions, sir.
Oh, sorry.
So,
I think I saw accidentally saw someone's hand. My
Oh,
apologies.
I,
Yeah.
no worries. Okay,
no
let's
worries.
continue,
Yeah.
shall we?
This will be quick. Is being incubated important? Well, based on my story, it is very important, and it saved us in crucial times, providing us office space, providing us networking events, relieving our stress by seeing a lot of co-founders and new. It's very important if you are a veteran, not really veteran, but if you experienced failure when you met this new breed or new incubatees that are very hyped or has a lot of enthusiasm in starting their own business, you will not talk to them and tell them that don't don't do that stuff, kind of a thing. They will look at you and said, I want to be like you, but they don't know that you're kind of failing at that time. But it will kind of boost your ego and you'll feel better that you have that community. And it's very important that, as we said in our community, that if you feel down, go to the incubator and fill out your energy. Talk to other CEOs, talk to people who have the similar mindset just like you are, so you can recharge and go outside and work with your startup. Yeah, I think for, yeah, this is not okay. Sharing some of the good founders that we have in Palawan. This is the first team building that we did. So we brought them, a lot of them, they're experiencing stress. So we brought them in a kind of small mansion beside the ocean so they can recharge. And after that, some of them got funding, some of them gained traction, but a lot of them stopped and go back to studying and a lot more. Because entrepreneurship or technopreneurship or being a business owner is not for everyone. It's for those who are special, looking to create or finding purpose in life, creating something that can change lives or have an impact in the community. So if you are watching and you're struggling, just continue what you're doing, or maybe seek help from an incubator or big brothers that are experience the same path as you do. Just continue dreaming, and I believe in bootstrapping. I personally believe in bootstrapping, but you should know your limits and when to ask for help. So I think that will be the summary of what
Yeah,
we are
thank you
talking
so much
about.
for
Thank you.
joining us today as well. Again, so yeah, definitely agree with you for the finding an incubation center. So if anyone watching is interested in starting any business or you have any innovative idea, you can feel free to join us. We have a startup weekend at the APU where you can meet a lot of similar mindset people who are filled with passion in entrepreneurship, and maybe you guys can work something out together. So definitely look out on our social medias and join us for Startup Weekend if you're interested. And once again, thanks a lot for joining us today, Mr. Fheter.
Thank you very much. And everyone, thank you very much. I hope you can be in Palawan as well. Let's do a pitching competition in the island.
Yeah, sure, no problem. We'll go there next.
Thank you very much.
So for online viewers, the attendance code is will be put on shortly for you to scan and get your certificate.
Yeah, this is for your certificate of participation. So just scan and you will receive the certificate in your email.
Thank you.